Well, hello there, I'm Lou Gallagher. This plastic surgery is trending now with millennials.
I'm Corvette Ronnie. More U.S. patients are recording their doctor visits.
That's coming up next on Men Are So Smart. Miranda Kerr has them. Even Harry Styles has a sexy set. These genetically blessed A-listers all share one common trait, other than being ridiculously good looking.
Like us.
That's a given.
Yeah.
They have dimples.
I do too. See them?
Is it a dimple?
My face is so fat you can barely see them
I know,
anymore.
mine too.
Right there.
I think they're dimples because they have no other choice. Not everyone has natural dimples. A New York City-based plastic surgeon says, the result of skin being attached to the underlying facial muscles, when those muscles under the skin flex, it pulls the skin, creating a dimple, which is what we just explained. Imagine tugging on the middle of a napkin, suspended by its four corners, says this doctor. The reason some people have dimples and others don't is that they are born with a tight connection between the facial muscles and skin, while others just don't have this kind of anatomy. But thanks to a quick outpatient procedure, that can change in just under an hour now.
Wow. Imagine that. The treatment known as, get this, a dimple plasti, is minimally invasive procedure used to create dimples in the face, most commonly within the cheeks. I can't imagine where else you would put them.
Which cheeks?
Yeah, on your face, hopefully.
Oh,
yeah.
That clears it up.
This doctor, who's a double board certified plastic surgeon, he's based in Atlanta, says over the last few years, it's become a common request, almost tripling among millennial-aged patients due to its little downtime, which millennials are all about.
Yeah, because they have so many other things to do.
Yeah, so many irons in the fire.
Yeah.
And the lack of need for general anesthesia. So it's a bonus.
Okay, so the dimpling treatment, it's a finesse technique that requires a clear understanding of aesthetic goals between the patient and the experienced board-certified plastic surgeon. It takes about 30 minutes, depending on the patient's anatomy, and involves creating an incision inside the patient's mouth where a defect is created in the cheek muscle known as a buccinator. Or two buccinator, I'm not sure. The muscle is then attached it's got to be more than $2. It's then attached to the undersurface of the skin so that the dimples are seen upon animation, smiling, but not when the face is relaxed, bitch face.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
No.
Yeah. Following the treatment, patients are left with permanent dimples for about 1 to 2 months. Wow, seems like it should last longer.
You would think.
Yeah, along with some mild swelling and soreness. Following that initial period, the tissue will eventually settle, and the indentation will only be seen when smiling. But Jones warns, although the treatment has little downtime, there are still risks involved.
There always are.
As with any surgery, could lead to deformities that are incredibly difficult to correct.
Oh, I know this team of surgeons on this TV show my wife watches.
Yeah.
They fix them up.
Dimples could be overly dramatic, appear underwhelming, look unnatural, or disappear with time, or even be located in the wrong place.
Okay, so now you've heard the whole story. In the wrong place. Right here. Come on. You got one face. It's not like a right and a left. All right, so here's the question everyone wants to know the answer to in this story. How much does this cost?
$800 to $2,500, depending on the level of difficulty.
So $1,250 a dimple.
Per dimple.
What if you could just afford one?
Yeah, maybe you do it on a consignment thing or something. Yeah.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut one side of your face and give you a dimple. And then in a month from now, we'll go back in there and we'll cut the other side and you'll have a pair of them.
Yeah, if you like it.
I sound like Regis Philbin. Why is that? Regis Philbin, I hope, is not doing the surgery for you.
Yes, that would be bad. That would be one sign to look out for right there.
All right, so that's story number one. Story number two, smartphones are capturing all of life's moments, and now doctor visits are no exception. At least 1 in 10 U.S. patients now records discussions at medical appointments, researchers say.
Do they have the right to? The legality of these tape visits depends on what state you live in, said researchers from Dartmouth Institute for Health Policy. In the U.S., the situation is complex. There are 2 main differences between the wiretapping laws. In all party states, or as California is known as a two-party state, recordings made by doctors or patients are illegal unless everyone involved is aware and provides consent. In one-party states, just one party, so obviously the person with the phone, in a conversation needs to be aware and consent to the recording. Only in these states can patients legally record an office visit without their doctor's consent, and vice versa.
Now, the authors said 39 states and Washington, D.C. follow the one-party consent rule. All others adhere to the all-party requirement. So you need to check. How are patients using these increasingly common recordings? Well, after reviewing 33 studies involving audio-recorded clinical visits, the researchers found that about 7 out of 10 patients listened to their own recordings. A similar number shared them with a caregiver. Now, I got to tell you, I believe this is really a great thing, especially for a caretaker to know what the doctor said about prescriptions or therapy or whatever the case might be. I think it's really...
Well, how many times do you get home, you've had, your doctor has given you a laundry list of things to do before your next visit, to not do, what to eat, what not to eat. And by the time you get home, you can remember about 2 things.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I mean, my memory is as good as it was yesterday.
Well, it says here, patients said the recordings left them feeling more satisfied, knowing the information and what their care approach would be.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Patients also said the recordings left them feeling their health care overall is more geared towards greater transparency, and the patient recordings are going to become more common every day.
That means there'd be a tremendous benefit to patient advocacy groups, healthcare organizations, providers, and policymakers working together to develop clear guidelines and policies around the responsible, positive use of open recordings.
While some doctors and hospitals worry that the taped appointments and procedures will be used against them, others take a more positive view. The Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, for example, encourages patient-doctor recordings and rewards the doctors who comply.
I have a situation that involves this, Ronnie. Through my healthcare organization, I will be having a surgery in just a couple of days. And if I had known about this earlier, I think with all of the appointments that I've had leading up to the surgery, this would have benefited me greatly. Because there's so much information, as Ron says, only so much you can take away.
Right.
When you get to be this age, there's just so much room up here.
Well, you get overwhelmed with all this info coming in, and it comes in so fast. As soon as they tell you the first thing, your brain is processing it.
Right.
You've completely missed the second thing.
Exactly.
So.
And it does come at you fast because the doctor does it every day.
Right.
Well, now here's something I wanted to add to this. Now, I wanted to do a separate from this show vlog. If you don't know what a vlog is, it's similar to a blog, but it's on video. And I wanted to do one leading up to my surgery. And I wanted to include some time with my urologist where he could explain why we were taking the approach that we were taking in this case. And I won't go into this. He said that he couldn't. According to the healthcare organization for which he works, it is against their standard operating procedures to have appointments recorded.
Since California is a two-party state as far as, recording, both parties have to agree and consent to it. Even if his healthcare organization said it's cool, he could say it's not cool. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't hardly seem fair because anybody can go up and if they see a police officer and they happen to be in a public place and they're doing their job anybody can go up and record what that police officer is doing without his consent. You don't think that police officers get sued for some things that people record?
It's in the news every day.
Yeah, and rightly so. If they have done something wrong, then they should be sued. I think the same thing applies to doctors. They're worried about their malpractice insurance, I'm sure. Nobody is going to go through life without making a mistake at their job. It just so happens that certain jobs, there's a higher price to pay when a mistake is made. Law enforcement is certainly one of them. The medical field is maybe the most important one, where a mistake could cost you something very near and dear to you. I'm kind of thinking that at some point that will change, and that taping a medical procedure will be
an everyday occurrence.
Yeah. I've only had a couple surgeries, but when they've been done, I signed a waiver that said that they could tape it. And so they will use that then for their own education. They show it in, at whatever
classes,
medical schools,
yeah,
and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm all for it. No problem. What's good for the goose should be good for the gander too.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can actually fight for the advocacy of this particular program. It's something that we will keep you posted on. Unfortunately, I'm kind of going through this myself right now, and I can see how this would have been beneficial. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation where you're under a doctor's care for any reason and you're making a visit, you might want to ask them if it would be okay if you record them. Each doctor, as Ron says, each doctor probably has his own opinion, his or her own opinion.
Yeah.
And the organization for which they work also probably has a procedure for that, or lack thereof, one of the two. Alright, so that'll do it for today. This has been another episode of Men Are So Smart. Below, you'll find all of the information. You're down there below, aren't you?
I'm always down below.
You're down there. Is there a fire down below? There might be. If you go see your doctor.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And take along a video camera.
Could be hemorrhoids.
And you never know.
Yeah.
Someday you could have a show just like this. It's kind of like Seinfeld. It's a show about
nothing, really.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just two guys chatting.
Yep.
Having a good time. Hope you are too. If you did like the program, we'd love to have you do that. You can link to any of our social networks below as well. We're there on Facebook and on Twitter, etc. Our email addresses are there. Our proud sponsors, Trico Welding Supplies. Glad to have them aboard each and every week. And also Capital Mobile Brake Service. Great place to have your brakes done, and they do it fast. I'm Lougallagher.
I'm Corvette Ronnie.
And that'll wrap up another edition of Men Are So Smart. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.